with multiplication of binomials and trinomials, there are two different ways of doing it. So I'm going to show you both ways, and you can decide which way you prefer. The first way is distributive property. So this 4y has to go with everything in the parentheses next to it. So you distribute. When you distribute, you multiply. 4 times 7 is 28. And I have 1y here and 1y here, so that's 2y's. So that's 28y squared. Now distribute the 4y to the negative 7x. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. And then you have a y and an x. Now usually you put your letters in alphabetical order. So x and then y. Now you go to the 3x. It has to go with everything. So 3 times 7 is 21. And you have an x and a y. So I'm going to put a positive 21xy. Notice where I put that. I put that in my xy column. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. And you have two x's. So that's a negative 21x squared. Now you distribute the negative 2. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14, and you've got a y, but we don't have a y column yet, so I'll just put it right here, negative 14y. Distribute to the negative 7x. Negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14, and we have an x. We don't have an x column, so I just write it at the end. So then you just add the columns. So for my y squareds, I have 28 of those. For the xy's, negative 28 and a positive 21. If the signs are different, you find the difference. You have to subtract. So 28 take away 21 is 7. The 28 is larger. It's negative. That means your answer is negative. Bring down the negative 21x squared. Bring down the negative 14y and the positive 14x. And even though this is a very long answer, it is the answer. There's nothing you can combine, because we already did the combining when we added the columns. Okay, that's the one way of doing it. It's called the distributive property. Now I'm going to show you another way called the Punnett square. The first set of parentheses goes horizontally across the top, and you want to kind of space them out. So 2x, that u doesn't have a number in front of it, so I'm just going to put a negative 1 because it has a negative sign. And then anytime you don't have a number in front of a letter, it's assumed to be a 1. And then you have your negative 6. The next trinomial goes vertically. So 3x plus 4u minus 5. Probably should have spaced that out a little bit more. You'll see why in a moment. Make a rectangle underneath and separate the terms with vertical and horizontal lines. Now you multiply up and over. So I'm going to do 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. I've got two x's there, so that's x squared. And you just continue the pattern for each box, up and over. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, and I have an x and a u. So I'll just put it as ux. Alphabetical order again. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. It's up and over, and then you have an x. The next row, up and over again. 2 times 4 is 8, and I have a u and an x. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4, and I have 1 u here, 1 u here. That's 2 u's. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24, and I have a u. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, and there's an x there. Negative 1 times negative 5 is a positive 5, and there is a u. Negative 6 times negative 5 is a positive 30. Now I want to look. I'm just going to write these down one at a time and combine if I can. So there are no more x squareds in this box. So 6x squared. That one's gone. Okay, the ux's right here. We can combine those. So 8 take away 3 is a positive 5 ux's. And then I have a negative 4u squared, and I have some x's. Negative 10 and negative 18 is negative 28x, so those are gone. I can put these u's together. Negative 24 plus 5 is a negative 19u, and then I have my plus 30. Now I'm going to check and make sure there's no other like terms that I can combine. No, everything is different. So this is the answer. So those are the two methods. You can choose whichever one you like. I'm going to go back to the distributive property on the next one. So 7 times 2 is 14, and I have 2 u's there, one here, so that's a u squared. Now distribute the 7 times the 1. 7 times 1 is a positive 7, and I have a u. Now distribute the negative 5. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10, and I have a u and a y, so negative 10 uy. Negative 5y times 1 is negative 5y. Now distribute the negative 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4u. I'm going to put that in my u column. That way I can combine the like terms very easily. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, and I don't have a constant column, so I'm just going to put that at the end. So my final answer is going to be 14u squared. For my u's, 7 take away 4 is a positive 3, and everything else gets brought down because there's nothing else to combine them with that are like them. To combine like terms, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent.